Let me first start by saying good morning to everyone. Um, a huge acknowledgement to City Councilor John Hilliard, representative of District 9, as well as Ellen Spencer, Pratt City Community President and President of Smithville Estates, Michelle Perkins, Vice President of North Pratt, and Richard Harris of South Pratt. But especially to the Miss Bessie Reynolds Brewster family for being present this morning with us. April 27, 2011 is a date that has touched many of us here, and I dare to say touched many of us personally. I can recall a vivid memory of receiving a phone call that the Pratt City area, including Southampton, was hit by the tornado, and I immediately thought of my own father and stepmom who lives in Southampton, Lamplighter Circle. I made a call to them and I couldn't get through. I couldn't get through the second time. I couldn't get through a third time, and finally my dad called to tell me that they were okay, but their home had significant damage and that they were stuck and needed help getting out of their home. I imagine there are so many other families that have memories, shocking memories that trigger all kind of emotions related to that day, that date. And 10 years later, what we want to do today is acknowledge the life of 72-year-old Miss Bessie Reynolds Brewster, who lost her life that day. Miss Brewster was a retired nurse and loving daughter, mother and grandmother who was dedicated to her church and her family. She made sure to take her granddaughter, nieces and nephews to the community pool every summer. Every year, Miss Brewster's family gathers in her memory. Today, as part of Miss Brewster's extended family, we all gather here in her name to remember what she meant to her loved ones and the Pratt community. And so in her honor today, what I want to do is pause and present this proclamation that reads in part, whereas on April 27, 2011, Ms. Brewster heard about dangerous tornadoes in Alabama, and she grew anxious about her mother. So she left her home on Hibernia Street and headed to nearby Lafayette Street to check on her mother, Miss Reynolds. She then returned to her home, which was later hit by the tornado. Ms. Brewster passed at the age of 72. And whereas Ms. Brewster will forever be remembered for her kind and warm spirit and heart, she always made sure she went above and beyond the call of duty to make sure those who crossed her path were all cared for. She was a devoted daughter, mother, grandmother, sister, and more to everyone she met. Now therefore, I, Randall L. Woodfin, Mayor of the City of Birmingham, along with the City Council, do hereby issue this proclamation in honor of the late Miss Bessie Reynolds Brewster, and encourage the residents of Birmingham, Alabama, to rise to the occasion and salute the impact of this upstanding citizen made on her family and her community. She was a kind and patient woman, and to the testament of her family, she will be truly missed and has been truly missed. Before we take a moment of silence, I do want to present this proclamation to her family. Now, if everyone can, please join me in a moment of silence in recognition of Ms. Brewster and all the lives lost across the state of Alabama 10 years ago. Thank you. Now I'd like to ask that Ms. Brewster's niece, Ms. Michelle Perkins, Vice President of Pratt City, to come forward to say a few words about her aunt, and after which I will ask Councilor John Hilliard to make a few comments as well. Ms. Perkins.
Good morning. As I was asked to say something about my aunt and they called us, I really didn't know what to say about her because she was such a person that if you needed her, she was there for you, no matter what it was or how hard it was. She was not there for just the family, but for the neighborhood and her church. She loved her church. The day that she died, that the tornado hit, it took us for a loop that we never thought that we would go through, ever. We had to wait days until they finally found her body and told us to come to make sure it was her body. I always say that she did that so we will have a close. We're grateful to the city for doing this for her, but we're also grateful for her for what she did in her life. So we will always remember her, and please always pray for her daughters, because this day is extra hard on them. It's hard on me, but it's their mother, so it's extra hard on them. Thank you.
To the Brewster family, I would like to say that in knowing your family, the Hilliard family and the Brewster's family has grown up in church together for many, many years. They have been loyal citizens to Pratt City, and we have just appreciate all that their mother, their sister, their aunt had to offer to Birmingham. But do not be sad. But because of her sacrifice, we have the beautiful One Pratt Park. We have the beautiful library. Things have been changed there. New homes are going up and new homes will be built. And every time we pass that area, we will think about Mrs. Brewster and what she had to offer to our community. So I say to you, on a beautiful sunny day, the sun has risen and shined, and she is looking down on each and every one of us and said, continue to work and make a difference. That's what her family is doing. Her niece, Michelle Perkins, has worked in the community as community president, now as vice president, and all of the community continues to be behind the Brewster family. We love you. We love you. We love you. Thank you.
Just as we close out, before we take any questions, again, I would like to acknowledge the Brewster family for being present. Losing a loved one can be very hard for anyone. 10 years can feel like the same day it happened. And so my sincere condolences, heart, energy, mind, prayer, everything is with the Brewster family today. And we ask that you acknowledge them as well. And with that, we'll open it up for any questions. Yeah, well, I think one of the things, Jim Coker's here, our systems have gotten better as far as alerting people, residents, citizens, and families of storms. We've had shelters built. I think that's very important to acknowledge. We had a series of storms probably about 20 to 30 days ago, and just to see the citizens' response to it, take their safety precautions, use the actual shelter is extremely important. Councilor Hilliard acknowledged some of the amenities the citizens deserve in that area, such as the beautiful One Pratt Park, as well as a neighborhood library. But, you know, in 10 years, and I've seen this across many areas of our city and state, it takes a while to build back from a storm. In the scheme of things, 10 years is not very long at all. And so there's still healing and growth to do in this area.
Where do you see the city going? Where do you see the city going 10 years from now?
So I think the biggest thing for me, I was telling the Brewster family, and I'm gonna answer this around the topic of storms and how families should be prepared. My grandmother lost her home in the '98 storm. My stepmother lost their home in the 2011 storm. And so, you know, we have these decades apart, and the biggest thing for me is when the storm's coming or we have information and knowledge, the first two calls I make are to these gentlemen you see here, Jim Coker and Don Lupo. Literally, how prepared are we, and how do we communicate to our citizens? Because the priority is saving lives. And so 10 years from now, the biggest things we want to do is say, we can't prevent a storm from coming. You probably can't prevent, I guess, things being destroyed and destruction. But what we can do is make sure we do everything we can to save lives. And I think 10 years from now, that will be the same model, and that technology has gotten better. Communications has gotten better. Warnings have gotten better. Safety precautions have gotten better. Safety plans have become the cool thing to do, and all lives are saved. That's where I want to see us go. Anybody else? Yeah, I think the truth is I have not had a lot of time to spend with the Brewster family, but in my short time of spending with them, I can tell this is a tight-knit family. It's not a show, but they miss their grandmother. They miss their mother. They miss their sister. They miss their family member. And I think, one, the biggest thing we can do is acknowledge the loss of her life. Two is to let this family know that the community is with them. And for anyone across the entire state, I believe over 200 lives were lost that day. From my office to the governor's office and everyone in between, as a community, one of the most powerful things I remember is the next day when the sun actually rose, getting a chance to go back out to Southampton area, seeing the devastation up close versus being in the dark, seeing it only smelling gas, no light. The amount of people who ushered in resources to assist the Brewster family and assist all these families who lost their home. The spirit of Birmingham and the spirit of the state of Alabama is strong, and we know how to respond and bring comfort to families if they lost a loved one or if they lost their property. And we'll continue to do that. Thank you all so much. Oh, yes, they want you to flank. You come right here. Thank you all so much. Thank you all.